Welcome back to part 2 of Quinncast Hit the Spotlight with our guests, Quinn creators John York and AJ. In this part, we take our conversation a little bit deeper and talk about gender roles, women's sexuality, and the impact their Quinn audios have on women's self-confidence and self-expression. Let's dive right in. We have this kind of unique opportunity here, as we're all talking about it, that, you've got 2 creators for Quinn, you've got 3 of us who are avid listeners, some more than others. I'm looking at you, Jules. What?
Owning
Jules.
Right? She's like, owning it, whatever.
Owning it.
But I think it's just a really cool opportunity to kind of talk about it from both sides, if you will. So, so I'm curious to know from the creators, from the 2 of you, what is something that you've learned about yourself since starting Quinn?
I think I've shared this a little bit with some of my live chats and stuff in the Discord. But when I first joined Quinn, I thought I would do mostly sort of direct to listener stuff. I didn't think that I'd be very comfortable doing the kind of second person self-insert kind of classic Quinn style stuff. Mostly because I think I was quite sort of afraid of the writing part of it. I think I was a little concerned that I wouldn't be good at it, or and it's quite interesting as well, because when John and I have worked together, I've expressed this concern about my own performances to him, and he's been very, very kind about it. And I said the same thing to Tom as well. I feel like I tend to underplay things, and I don't actually like act very much. I feel like I'm not doing like the sort of traditional acting job that I think sort of other people are doing. So I had a lot of these sort of insecurities when I first started. Like, is the writing going to be interesting enough? Is my performance going to be interesting enough? And I was sort of hiding behind this. Okay, well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just do a bunch of direct to listener, like guided stuff, because that feels like it can be just instructional. I can use my sort of regular talking voice. I'm not going to be worried too much about whether or not it's immersive or if people are actually buying it. Interestingly, very quickly, all those feelings went away, and I actually have such a great time doing all the sort of story-driven writing stuff these days. It's my favorite part of the job, is coming up with all these like crazy fun ideas. And I think part of that has been, I guess, being given permission to explore that stuff by sort of seeing how creative everybody else is and how open they are to sort of having these ideas and just exploring them and being like, hey, this is a wacky thing. Like, wouldn't it be fun if this happened? And like, I don't know, maybe John feels the same way, but like meeting Eric was a big eye opener for me, because he's just such a like, I don't give a shit what anyone thinks, if this is crazy or not. I'm going to do it, and like it's just going to be mad, and like I'm just going to follow this idea, and I'm going to make it. And I find that really inspiring, just to do some of the weirder things. And actually, I look forward to those now, like mostly like those sorts of story-driven things rather than the direct-to-listener things, which I think is interesting. Maybe it was just insecurity, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So does Quinn give you all of the freedom then to, within the guidelines, but, you get that creative freedom to pretty much do what you want to do?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I think that there are limitations on things like, how many safe for work audios you can do, because let's be honest, I think people are there for mostly one thing.
No, I'm not. I'm there for the sleep aids, just the sleep aids.
So,
Right,
like there is an expectation that people are, having a jolly good time in these audios, which is, I think, fair enough. It's what we're here to do. But other than that, no, I mean, it's like, do what we want, I think, as far as I can tell. Yeah, basically.
And it's interesting, like from a listener perspective, AJ, to your point about feeling like, I'm not really acting and I'm underselling or whatever. From a listener standpoint, I can speak for myself that your audios sell it. So I don't know if you don't think you're acting, and maybe you're not, and it doesn't come across as acting, but I think that's a good thing, right? Like when I'm listening to it, it just sounds very much like I'm listening to like an authentic story, like you are in that story, and it just comes across as so authentic that we don't want to have it sound like you're acting. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Because that will be loud and clear, and that actually can take you out of it if you feel like someone's overperforming. So I think you're doing fine.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I would 100% agree with that. I think like I found the opposite with myself to AJ in that regard. Is like, because I came from audiobooks, and I got all my jobs because I could do the like animated narration, I could do like the character voices and all that sort of stuff. So it's like when I started doing Quinn, it was like really like heavy sort of, I came at it like I was a character, and like that was part of like me not really understanding what it was, or not understanding like how to do it properly. So it's like through like each week I've been trying to, you know, strip back and be like more and more yourself, and the more and more I got nervous about being like closer to my actual self, the better the audio was, and the better the end goal was. So that's been like a whole revelation to it and stuff. But I think it's really interesting that I think because we're in front of a microphone and we're writing scripts and stuff, the idea is that people are expecting a show.
Oh,
And like we've got to show up and give them something.
yeah.
We've got to give them a story. We've got to give them like a growl or whatever. And you've got to do all your catchphrases and stuff. And it's like it's not. People don't. People want you. People want the authenticness of that somebody can bring. I think like what Smudge was saying before about how we could all do the same sort of audio, but it'd all be different. And it's the things that make that audio different in the sense of like our personalities that I think is the reason why, you know, is the reason why an audio does well. It's because it's got the bits of you in that you probably as a creator can't even tell that it's getting in there. I don't know.
I don't think we'd come to a John audio for a growl. I certainly would not. So.
No.
So please don't.
Probably not.
Smudge goes to her orcas for that. We know Smudge. Settle down.
I didn't even say anything.
You were thinking it.
But to your point, John, I like similar feedback to what I gave AJ is I could hear exactly what you were saying. Like your early audios are great, but you could tell that they were more like narration based.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is probably not news to you, but where as a listener, things pivoted was stripped back.
Yeah.
The stripped back audio, literally called the title of it is stripped back listeners. So that's when it really pivoted. And I think to your point, it's when you allowed yourself to just be raw, right? And it was received so well. I mean, clearly the number of listens, and it's one that people refer to. It's like AJ's, Jules, help me out. Is it just for me, the first one, or is it just for you?
Just for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
So is that the one with the 17-minute countdown?
It is, yeah.
Yes, it is.
2 hours later.
Sorry, I'm still edging. It's been that long. I'm still edging, and it's 8 months. Yeah, we do love you, but seriously.
Wait till we do John then and now. That's going to be, it's coming. It's coming. Okay.
Yeah, it's coming. What I'd like to know is, one of the questions I've always wanted to ask is, since you start, and I'm not saying that you didn't know anything before, but since you've been doing all this work with Quinn and female empowerment of their sexuality, what have you learned about women that you didn't know before, or that you thought you did, but it's changed your mind?
I think I could never speak for everybody, but I think something that's hit me is, and this is from my preconceptions of what I thought that women wanted, which is always going to be wrong. Like, I think at base, like, but it's like wanted me to be like this, like, you know, archetype of a certain type of person, and, you know, masculine, but then also like I didn't really like, I thought I had to be hitting like certain character types that I needed to blend into my own personality. And I mean, in my life, that's caused like a lot of problems, like back in the day of me trying to be things that I'm not and reacting. And then when I would react in like a way that is actually me, trying to fight it, because that's not how, like, you know, guys are supposed to react, or that's not the sort of things that guys are supposed to be into. Like I was like into like musical theatre and stuff as like a younger man, and I would try and suppress that and you know, all that sort of stuff. So it was what Quinn has taught me is like, you know, be more yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And like it's, I think what women want more than anything is honesty, and like to be like, to show up as you, and to be like, you know, I mean, just be more, don't be kind of like a facade of yourself.
Yeah.
Because it just creates so many problems and stuff. Like I was on another podcast, and we was talking about, I was asked about about how you, if we're writing these characters, are we just sort of knocking the realism out of the gut, like how are other men supposed to act like this in real life, right? So it's like, are we sort of creating issues there with the stories that we're portraying? But if you look at it, and I think this really deeply, is that the reason why a lot of audios are popular, a lot of creators are popular, is because they're talking about honesty, and they're just listening. They're just showing, they're just holding space, and that is not a
Oh
big
no,
ask.
yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's not a big ask for men, particularly, or just anybody, is to be there and be a friend. And I think that I've noticed that in a lot of my own audios, that it's just the comfort that one gets from being treated like a human being,
Yeah.
and being treated like respected, and all of these things are not big asks. And I think men, in particular, I've done this. I did this for years, and so I forgot about the respect bit, because I thought that people wanted a high flying, loads of money, great body, masculine sort of guys. And no, people just want to be respected first of all. Like, let's get the ground, let's get the basics covered, and then we'll go on to the next things. But yeah, that was a big turning point for me. It's like, quite therapeutic, actually.
How about you, AJ?
I think there's a real irony in the fact that like some of the most powerful moments of the work that we do, and it's like literally a one-sided conversation where we're the only ones talking, are actually the bits where we just shut up and don't say anything for a second.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's really ironic. What's interesting for me, like I came at this whole thing as an absolute outsider. Like I had no concept of this space existing at all, and I didn't even really know about sort of audiobooks and narration and famously what book talk even was. Like I didn't know that there was this whole world here where I don't know. I just think it's like, I think there's probably a perception that women don't create these spaces as often as men do online to sort of follow a passion, or like gather a community, or like sort of openly sort of consume whatever content it is. I just genuinely didn't really know that this was a thing that happened. I know that sounds kind of crazy to me, but I couldn't picture it. And what's so incredible about it is that, from my experience, is that it's been the healthiest, like the most like rewarding, kindest, most accepting, most diverse group of people that sort of I've seen assemble on the internet, where like people aren't like, I don't know, dragging each other in the comments. People aren't just saying horrible things. It doesn't feel like everyone's constantly one-upping themselves. It's very inclusive and very just like, it's because it's run by women, isn't it? Really?
I didn't want to say
I wasn't
it.
going to say. None of us wanted to say anything. I bit my tongue. Anybody else? Anybody hold the tongue?
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But like I feel the difference in the space every single day, and I think what John touched on just a little bit there was something that I've felt my whole life, which is like, where do I feel at home in a community? It's quite often not in the sort of traditionally masculine spaces. I'm not one for like going down the pub and watching football. Like, well, lads, it's not me. And I think it's interesting that there's a space that exists online that allows like men like me and John to like participate in it. But ultimately it's a space kind of like shepherded and like stewarded and owned and occupied like by women. And I just think it's a really amazing place to hang out. Like I love it. I'm addicted to this place. I hang out here all the time. It's like and I don't know, I've learned so much from it, and I feel like I feel personally lifted up and like elevated by it in a way that I think lots of people do. It's like you come in here and you sort of just be yourself, and everybody loves you for that. And there's a place for you here. And I didn't know any of that here. And I just wish more of the world and the internet was like this. It should be.
Yeah,
shouldn't it?
absolutely.
Like,
Well, I think John hit it on the head when he said about honesty, and it made me think. You said about what women want is to be honest. Well, I think spaces like Quinn and spaces like your Patreon, John, or your Discord, AJ, are places that actually women can go and be honest, because we also can't be honest about our sexuality, about our desires, our kinks, whatever, in ordinary life. So we found these spaces as well to be honest with ourselves about who we are and be honest with other women. And that's something that genuinely doesn't happen. Men may think that we all sit around and that's all we talk about, but the majority of my friends have absolutely no concept and no idea about what my kinks are, what my desires are, what my sexual life is. So to find these spaces for as much as a listener as it is from a creator's perspective, without question, it's opened up some honest talks and discussions, and I'm sure it's created some important spaces for women right now.
yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
100%.
But I think to your point, Smudge, yeah, the kind of communities, because I had never even heard of a Discord before, like, because I think it was for like mainly gamers, and I don't even know, right? Jules, I think your husband is
Yeah.
like a Discord gamer guy,
Yeah,
right?
that's the only reason I knew what it was.
Yeah, had no idea, and so when AJ came across my For You page on TikTok, this was pre-Quinn, and you were singing and what I'm like, oh, this guy has a really nice voice, and so I started following you for your singing, and then that led
Thanks.
to Quinn, etc., and then to the Discord, and I thought, what is this place all about? And after being in there, it's interesting to hear from other members who have been in other Discords for other topics, how toxic those communities can be. And like
Yes.
it's my understanding that for a lot of people, Discord equals toxic. That's not my experience at all, because like AJ, your Discord could not be a more welcoming, loving place. Same thing with your Patreon, John. I mean, it's like, I really credit that. I mean, yes, I know you guys will both say like it's my name on the door, and that is, I get that, and that's true, but it's who you both are. And I think a lot of the creators, it seems like when I've watched interviews with them or whatever, like the level of emotional intelligence is just not something that's often seen
Right.
to that degree from a female perspective, like going like, wow, a lot of the men on the app and the women as well are just, the emotional intelligence is just there at a degree that you don't often see. So for the two of you to say that you thought, that kind of toxic masculinity is what was desired, I mean, maybe for some people, but this kindness, authenticity, and welcome vibe is much more appealing, I think.
Yeah, I agree. And it actually makes me think, AJ, back in December, I think it was, you did a live and there were a bunch of new people that were joining. And someone asked in the comments something about Quinn. And then they asked if like you get cringy or if it makes you feel weird knowing that people like pleasure themselves to you, all those things. And your response was just so wonderful. And you just came out and you were just like, not at all. Like anything I can do to help to make women's sexuality less taboo and those kind of things. It's those kind of things that you and John, you say those things as well in your lives and make everyone feel safe. I think that honestly that's what this community really is. And everybody does feel safe because of those things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done,
I mean,
gentlemen.
yeah. Yes, well done, gentlemen.
It's funny, Jules, because I remember like a way early live with AJ. Because I asked that once way early on. I said to him, is it weird for you to know what people are doing? And I laughed because, AJ, your answer was, well, no, because it would be like if I baked someone a cake and then felt funny that they were eating it. And I was like, it just like clicked for me. I was like, you're right. He's like, I just created something for people to enjoy. And if they're enjoying it, then well done,
Awesome.
I'm like, yeah, it's very AJ with the... Right.
That's
It was
really good.
He doesn't remember that, I can tell.
I don't. I'm impressed by my own answer. I'm like,
Yeah, I was too.
I was going to say, you're going to write that down and use that again, aren't you? Yeah, you are.
I love it.
Jules, you want to ask the next one?
But yeah, so it's kind of perfect to kind of go into this now. Both of you, when you were growing up, like what were gender roles like for you? Like when you were growing up, how did you learn about
What did
them?
you learn about them?
Yeah.
Like
Growing
in
up.
your fam-
So I have a sister who's older than me, so that was by 6 years. So that was very like she was very a big part of my growing up, and she was obviously quicker to develop mentally, although she'd say otherwise. But she was quicker to develop mentally than I. So it's like I was always like a little step behind, but I can also see her example for better or worse. But through different stages of life. And like my dad worked away pretty much like nonstop through like my early years and stuff, to the point where I was about 17. I was pretty ready to sort of do my own thing by then anyway. So I was really close to my mum, and then in the sense of like we just been in a house with my mum and my sister, it was like traditionally like traditional sort of femininity was like celebrated in my household, which I think was really rewarding. And like most of my friends were female. And again, like I think that led into a lot of my interest and stuff. Like I was a huge drama guy, like huge musical theatre guy. And then what helped is my dad is as well, actually. So when he came back, when he was into the folk, like came back more permanently when I was a little older, he sort of jumped into the thing, and he's very sort of he has a lot of like feminine energy as well. He's a hoot, is my dad. He's really like good fun. We had those sort of this is like a generalization, it won't be the same, but it was in our house, but like a softer approach to things was celebrated. And like if you got angry about something, if something was like bad and you got angry about it and you lashed out and you started shouting and like being aggressive, in my household it was okay, the thing that's happened is bad, but we need to talk about how we've dealt with that,
Yeah.
because that's causing you more pain.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, that's the real issue here, and it's almost stoic in a way, actually, if you think, you know, about things been about that you really focus on things that you can control, and that how you react to things is the battle, and everything else is just it's there or not. So you know, so I was very sort of fortunate in that regard, and it's really strange. I don't know how public I could tell these stories and things, but my family were all writers, and so my dad and my sister especially, and they've written romance stories
wow.
and naughty romance stories on their own accord. And you know, it's been always a thing of like, we would always sort of, half as a joke but half as an exercise, come up with like tropes and ideas and or things like that, as like like, literally around like the dinner table. And then we'd never read any of each other's stuff, and it was our own private stuff, but it was always like it was like we were doing it as like a writing exercise, so that when I started doing Quinn, it was like really natural, and like really like you would have like, you know, it wasn't like something I had to hide from someone. It was like oh, I have this idea, this happened to someone down the road, right? So there was an affair, and then this happened, but they're telling me to like, oh, maybe there's an idea in there for your audio. So it was so I'm very fortunate.
Yeah, I wondered that. I wondered how your family or the people in your life reacted, but it makes sense. It was easy transition for you.
It's in the blood. In the blood.
So AJ, what about you? What did you what were gender roles like for you?
Well, I mean, you may be incredibly unsurprised to learn that my family structure sounds very similar to John's, which is, you know, like you know, I was raised by my mum. My sister was 8 years older than me. So maybe I was not as close to my sister as it sounds like John is with his, because the age gap was just a bit too much when she was heading off to university when I was just sort of finishing primary school. So we didn't really have an awful lot in common, but definitely like the energy around the house was very female energy. It wasn't, you know, my dad was obviously away as well.
Yeah.
And,
Wow.
I suppose where we differ is, it sounds like my family's approach to talking about sex and sexuality and stuff like that, very repressed by comparison to John's.
John sat around the dinner table and discussed that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I would say that probably, you know, my own journey towards being somebody who talks openly about those sorts of things and sort of not being afraid to talk about that stuff has been my own doing, less than my family's, I suppose. But maybe I felt capable and allowed to do that because I've always been, you know, around women and raised by women, and like my best friends at school, girls, and like, you know, I'd play on sports teams. Like I played tennis instead of football at school and stuff, and I would play with the girls, and you know, and yeah, like John, I suppose like I did drama and stuff at school, and did music, and my best friends in those classes were always the girls as well, and like I've always felt more comfortable being around girls and women and stuff. I don't really know
Because
why,
we're
why that
better.
is,
Because
but,
we're just better.
I mean,
I'm willing to agree with you on that one. 100%.
Outnumber you.
I mean, really interesting that there's a similar family structure there, right? Because it's like, I think of I'm one of 7 kids, and there's 5 girls and 2 boys in my family, and one of my brother's wives always thanks his sisters all the time for the type of man he is. She said, I know it's because he was raised around so many women.
Yeah.
That he's a different kind of guy, and because if you were to look at my brother, he is that kind of like, he's a strong looking dude. But yeah, he's like such a softie. And I think same thing, the influence of just having a lot of women around you.
Right.
You learn how to speak to them, how to interact with them, how they process, how we process. So yeah, really cool.
Yeah.
So I guess that kind of like also answers the question of like what impact women had in your life growing up, because it was significant, clearly.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, it was huge. It's huge for me, and continues to be as well. It doesn't like I'm really close with my family, and so it hasn't ended. And I think it was a lot. Again, it may be gross generalization, but it was certainly prevalent in my household. It was like I was taught to really talk about how I'm feeling and what that might mean and why. And what it helps me do in later life is be able to. So I think sometimes you have to be able to say, I'm just in a bad
Yeah.
mood today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what we can do is, if we don't understand it, we might start looking at things in our lives and going, something has to change, and then you end up really messing up your life, because you're having a few bad days, and then suddenly you've quit your job and you've changed gym and you've done a load of stuff that can be quite detrimental. Whereas, like, thanks to seeing it in the women in my life, I'm able to sit down and go, right, okay, what is this? Because it's possible that there's something external that's causing
Oh
me
yeah, of course. Yeah.
pain or upsetting me, but it's also, you are allowed to just have a bad day,
Yes.
and it's
Yeah.
normal. So, and a lot of the times I have to sit down and I can hear like my mum in my head going, like, are you just in an arse? Are you just,
Yeah.
is that what it
Just
is? And it's like,
arsey.
and then you have to go, yeah, I think so. And then you can, so that's something that, as I say, was huge for me, but also still is, and it's still like a way that I cope and I look to every day.
That's massive. You know, it's that whole idea of like, wherever you go, there you are. Right. So it's like,
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if you want to run from a
Exactly.
situation, if you haven't checked out to see if the issue is you, you're just going to bring it with you
Yeah.
wherever you go, you know?
100%. I think I think a lot of our issues is, like, not to get all like philosophical and stuff, but a lot of our sort of issues, like, societally, is like running away from like, ourselves, and also like the whole like identity thing of like why we want to identify with stuff is because we're not like fully comfortable being ourselves. I'm not saying that I'm fully comfortable being myself, but it's like, if you start to realize, if you realize that oh, maybe I'm actually okay. There's nothing that I need to run away from. There might be a few things that we need to sort of change up every now and again, but it's as all in all, you're being okay. And like my mum's like, she quotes Stoic philosophy without knowing what it is. It's amazing.
wow.
It's like she's just got the mindset of that idea of like, it doesn't, like, whatever's external, you can't control it. You have to focus on what your heart. You have to focus on like how you're dealing with things, and what means the most to you. And it's, straight out of Seneca, and she's never heard of him.
Wow.
Oh, Seneca.
Yeah.
Seneca. I quote him all the time. Is it him? Him? I quote them. I quote them all the time.
Yeah.
We like talking about freedom to be who you are, etc., in our sexual lives. So one of the big questions we want to start asking people is, what does sexual freedom mean to you as an individual, not just as a male and female or any in between? What does sexual freedom mean to you? What does that mean?
I feel like for me, it should be a space where you're allowed to be silly and have fun, and to not feel like afraid of getting things wrong
Yeah.
necessarily. I think when you're comfortable and you're just listening and you're focused on the pleasure of the person that you're with, and you're allowed to be goofy and just like, I don't know, like all of those kind of really unrealistic things that we're taught from like mainstream porn, where it has to be done a certain way, or like it has to look a certain way, or like be naturally amazingly pleasurable for everybody, like it's just unrealistic. And I think, like having that openness with one another, just to be like, let's just have a really, really nice time and be comfortable in our bodies and with each other, and like just focus on what makes us feel happy. You can't get it wrong when you're doing that. I don't think. I think if there's any pressure to look and feel a certain way, then it's going to go wrong. And I think, even if you're doing things that, I suppose are less vanilla, I guess, if you're like maybe jumping into other stuff you've not done before, no one's expecting you to do it right the first time, right? No one's thinking, oh, like, you must know exactly how to do this. You must know how to use this bit of kit, or like, do these sorts of things. No one's expecting you to do that. I think just, like being open and having a nice time is the most powerful thing.
Well, I mean, is there a rule book? I mean,
Ever
if there is, I've not seen one. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But how do you, I mean, like to that point, AJ, how does, like, from your perspective, how do you get over that? Like, if you, how do you get those voices out of your head, the shoulds and all of that stuff, and to be free?
I mean, obviously, like, consent is at the center of
Absolutely,
absolutely
yeah.
everything, and like, and you only get there by having conversations, I suppose, and like just talking openly. I think so much of those conversations like doesn't happen because there's there's like a shame block that we have to just get through, right? Where you're like, I want a certain thing. I think it'd be really, really fun to try a certain thing, but I'm scared of being judged by the person I'm about to talk to by saying, hey, do you know what? This might be my fantasy. Like, I think it'd be really, really cool to like try this. Or like, have you ever thought about doing this? The chances are the person you're asking would be like,
hell yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
all right.
hell yeah.
That sounds really, really cool. But your own worst enemy before you have that conversation, because you're like, I don't want to be judged. I don't want to feel like that person's going to think I'm weird, or like, and there's so much joy and pleasure and freedom over that hill. And I don't think this is just a sex thing. I think this is just a thing that people just like could do better in life generally. It's just having the courage to be like, hey, have you ever thought about doing this? Because the chances are the person you're talking to is like, yeah, hell yeah, you know. And you just have no idea, and you can spend your whole life just like sleepwalking and having no access to this stuff if you don't bother to ask. So you know, like I suppose if you were in that situation, you sense your partner wants to talk to you about those things, like make room for the conversation. I suppose.
I've spent many a night with girlfriends, and they've all been moaning about their sexual partners and saying, "Oh God, you know, it's too pump chump," or you know, he never asked me what I want, or you know. And I've said, so have you asked him? Have you told him what you'd like? No.
Yeah.
Well, how can you moan at him because he doesn't know what you want because you haven't told him? I mean, you can't moan about it. You can't piss and moan about something if you're not prepared to make the change and speak up. And I know it's difficult, and I'm not saying everybody can do it, but then you can't really moan about it because they're not psychic.
And those conversations can take form in so many different ways. You could just be like, "Hey, do you know? Like, I saw this movie scene the other day, and I was like, do you know what? That was really hot." Or like, you know, if you're comfortable being like, "Oh, I saw a bit of porn the other day when they did this thing, and like, I ever thought we could try that?"
Yeah,
like, yeah, fuck yeah, why not? You know, like it's totally okay. And just the weight that gets lifted off your shoulders once you've had that conversation is just amazing, and like what fun you can have.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? I think that's just me though.
What about you, John?
Yeah, and I think well, very similar. I think everything is communication.
Yes.
And I think also it's like, you know, there's no rule book as you say, but getting the basics right, and if in terms of like, you don't have to. I think sexual freedom comes from like realizing that you don't have to go crazy in order to be exciting, or in order to like be. It's like you can have like, I think a lot of couples as well put a lot of pressure on themselves. Like say like, life gets in the way. You haven't been intimate in ages, so you book a hotel, and then suddenly like everything's riding on that night, and like exactly. And it's like that's like totally like the, you know, that can be quite detrimental to one's own mental health, and you start putting this pressure on. You sort of start forgetting what it is, and you sort of start looking at it as if it's like it's a thing that we should be doing, but we're not for this. No, it's not. It's so much more. Like you have to. So freedom, or at least for me, is like so much more about realizing like why you wanted to do it in the first place. And it all comes out of love, and it all comes out of enjoyment and cheekiness, and kind of that sort of just enjoying the things. And what I mean about like getting the basics right is like, you don't have to have like the duffel bag with you to have the most amazing time. It's like, and you know, you can get so much like intimacy out of like like a hyped up conversation beforehand, and like you could have the most wild night by just talking about things that like that matter to you. Was like, wouldn't it be fun if we start, you know, could you imagine if we, you know, all that sort of stuff, and you can have like the most wicked time even at that. So I think the freedom is just sort of allowing yourself and allowing your partner to feel safe, and allowing yourself to feel safe as well. And just like AJ said, of not being afraid to, and it's a big ask to be fair, but not being afraid to say the things that you want to do. But then for me, or how I got over that I was like, well, how would I react if they told me?
Yeah.
I wouldn't go, what, you weirdo, right? So, and like, you know, you hopefully you respect that person enough to be with them, or like you at least have some nice things to say about them. And in that regard, it's you know, you are in a safe space, and you know, if there is an issue with that, then maybe there's issue, you know, maybe it's that's a different thing, you know, it's a different battle to chat about. But But yeah, I think what AJ said right at the start,
Yeah.
communication.
I think so many people talk about the symptom instead of the source, right? So it's like, and so I think, you know, to that point, it's like to get started with a conversation that you feel funny about or whatever, I find sometimes to just state that obvious, like, I want to have a conversation, but I'm really nervous too.
Yeah.
Just
Immediately, like,
and then
yeah.
because then the other person becomes completely receptive and like is like welcoming, like, no, go ahead, it's totally fine, rather than you know, trying to psych yourself up to say something difficult. It's like, just open the door for yourself, you know.
Yeah, I think if you do something embarrassing, not even like sex related, anything, if you do something embarrassing and then immediately say, "I'm really embarrassed now," it's not as awkward.
Yeah,
because everyone's like, because it's like a part of the
Yeah.
embarrassment thing. Yeah, it's like the part of the embarrassment thing is that kind of, oh, they've seen me do that and they know that, and then it kind of like that we both now know this thing that we're not going to talk about. Whereas if you immediately go, didn't need to do that, like, it's like cuts it. And I think that taking that on board and doing some of the things, just being honest.
Jules, you and I talked about that, about like just how Quinn opened doors and like opened conversations with spouses that we may not have had, right? So you've certainly done that.
It really did. I mean, it kind of it sounds a little silly, but what it's making me think of is when you know you have to go to the gym and you hate preparing to go to the gym. But then once you're at the gym, you're like, I'm so glad I'm here. I'm so glad I'm here. And so that's kind of what it was like for me when I found Quinn, and, you know, hearing things I had never heard before, learning things about myself I never knew. And I just had to get over that hill, like you said, AJ. I just had to I kind of did it the way you said about John. I kind of just opened the door. I was like, all right, look, I feel really silly about this, but like, let's just, like you said, get to the source and then we can move on from it. And it truly does. It helped so much. And I know it helped you too, Carrie.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a nice place to start. Like, you know, to be able to say to my wife, like, hey, listen to this audio, you know, and like, I learned stuff about myself listening to it. And really now, since she has since become the editor for this podcast. When we first started, I was like, what do you think about this whole idea? And I mean, we were both raised pretty like repressed, sort of what you were saying, AJ, but we're not as at our core, right? But so it felt like, I don't know. And she's like, well, I don't know about this. And, you know, she was worried about people's opinions. And after she heard a little bit of the first one, she's like, I guess I just have to get used to you saying pussy. And I was like, all right. But now, since she started editing it, like, I say stuff on the podcast that just comes off the top of my head. And she's like, I didn't know that. And we've been together a long time. And I'm like, oh shit, you know? So like, thanks to Quinn. And and this whole thing, it opens doors to conversations that you may not have had. Like, I pride ourselves on having exceptional communication in our relationship. And to think that this was still a topic that was like tiptoed around, not anymore.
Same with me. I don't think if I didn't find Quinn, I don't think I ever would have even thought about having a conversation. It wasn't even in my brain. And then after listening for about 2 months, I was like, hang on a second, I'm learning some things. And I mean, it helped my partner too.
Yeah, I don't have a partner, but I literally stop strangers in the street now and just ask their opinion on whether or not I think this is all right, or you know, this person. I don't do that, obviously.
That kind of leads me into the next question of like, what kind of lasting impact do you guys hope that your work with Quinn will have, like even future generations? I know it might sound silly, but you know, this is around decades from now. What kind of lasting impact do you think we'll hope it would have?
What an incredible thought. I mean, I have absolutely no idea, really. I mean, I guess because it is such an emerging space on the internet, and like, you know, I feel like there's more eyes on it now than ever. And at some point, it's just going to explode. And just, I feel like it hasn't quite hit the mainstream yet, but close. You know, think about, I don't know, what happened when YouTube became mainstream, like when people sort of like you start consuming media that way, when social media became sort of like the default for how people start, you know, communicate with one another. I don't know. Like, I have absolutely no idea what the world looks like when, you know, audio erotica or, you know, like this sort of thing is, I don't know, like one of the pillars of what makes content on the internet. I have no clue. I don't think any of us know. None of us know whether or not it's going to be around in like a year. Really?
Please say yes.
Like, I have no clue. I sure hope so. But it feels like there is a direction of travel that we're on, right? Where it sort of feels like there is an opening in our future where this becomes more of a thing that sort of the world knows about. And who knows what we'll find when we get there? I don't know.
I'm sure you guys know this, but maybe hearing it from our perspective, like it really does have quite a ripple effect, like we've talked about, like, having conversations in the safe places of like your Discord and your Patreon, John. It's very unique because coming to those communities, you're meeting these people who have similar interests, right? And you're also meeting them with no history to overcome, right? So they have no preconceived notion of who I am. And so I can come in fully as who I am today without having to like come out to them as like someone who likes this, So it's meeting people where you're at right now. And I hope you guys know that kind of like the ripple effect that has, the conversations that each of us have had with people in our lives that wouldn't have happened before. And then the conversations they're having, and they tell two friends and they tell two friends. So you create an audio, people consume it and enjoy it, but the reach is so much further than I think you probably even realize.
Yeah, I don't think the reaction should be underestimated at all.
I think it's because of stuff like this. It's because of stuff like this, though, right? Because the community wants to talk passionately about these topics because we're the first people to do it, right? You guys are the first people to create podcasts, around this topic, and we have so much to talk about. We have so much to explore, and like that feeling is infectious and addictive. And I think we're kind of all finding our people and all just kind of realizing it, being like, oh my god, shit, okay, there's people out here that I like. That's so cool, and it's so vital now that this exists just in some way to create a buffer, some sort of backstop against the pressure that's coming in the opposite direction. And like the louder and the more community driven and the sort of more vocal we can be about the fact that this is fine, this exists, we love it here, let's tell as many people as we possibly can, is the cure. I think it must.
I mean, John, do you think, like, with you doing your narration of audiobooks, do you think the Quinn verse, the whatever we want to call it, it's going to become more mainstream outside of a Quinn app and into the more erotic and deeper and darker of narration books?
Yeah, it's really interesting, isn't it? I don't know, truthfully, but I think I do think that this is like an offshoot of a kind of like the 50 Shades of Grey audiobook effect in terms of like, so when 50 Shades of Grey came out, obviously it was like it was the first time that many people had read like sort of smutty books and stuff, found out actually it was quite entertaining and interesting, and I'd like to read this. And the same happened with audiobooks as well. It's like romance and romance books and erotica books, or audiobooks I should say, are insanely popular now, and they're growing and growing and growing. Book Talk obviously is a huge part of that is listening to like Shane Easton, Teddy Hamilton, or narrators like that. So it's like the Quinn is just almost like, in my opinion, the next kind of like the bigger thing. It's like kind of what it can. It's like an offshoot of that, but it's like what it could have been as well. It's like so that's why I'm so excited about. I mean, from a creative standpoint, I don't really know anything about like a personal legacy and stuff, and I don't really like to think about stuff like that myself. But like in terms of right now in the creative way, it's the most exciting thing that I could have imagined. Because not only have you got like the social side of it, and I've got friends for like the first time, and
John.
like, all this like cool stuff. No, you know what I mean though. But like, so it's not only have you got that, like creatively and professionally, it's like I love writing. It's like one of my favorite things to do in the world. Like now I have to. It's on my calendar every week that I have to sit down at my desk and write, and I need that push. All right, so that's like the first thing. I love performing, and I love talking into a microphone. I love that, like doing like voiceover. I love all that. I get to do that. I could give or take the editing, but I don't mind it, right?
Yeah.
So it's yeah, but it's like, and like stuff like this, and like, but getting to chat. But I think my Patreon community and stuff is like my favorite thing in the world. So it's like all of this stuff is like, it's amazing, and I don't like thinking about it like on a wider scale or too much because I'm so terrified of it going away.
Well, just the Angel and Gem community will make sure it doesn't go away. We're keeping the light bulb going.
It's just growing and growing. Yeah.
Selfishly, I want to hold on tight for as long as possible. But I think, but like, luckily for me, I think luckily for all of us, I think it really is genuinely, and you can't really say this about many things online, but I think it's such a force for
Oh,
good.
yes.
It was just, it's so rare, like these
It
days.
is such a force for good because it's shifting from like reading something like 50 Shades of Grey, which opened doors, like you said, but this is completely different, being immersive, right? Like I I don't
Yeah,
think I knew
Yeah.
that. When I first started listening, I was like, oh, wait a minute. I'm the other character in this story. Like
Yeah.
it's a completely different way to consume this kind of media. And really, yeah, it's so, I mean, I can't believe the difference from an observer standpoint, reading a story to immersive. Just, yeah, it's a whole different game.
And then the growth as well of all you creators. I mean, AJ, you've got the mono stuff. I mean, I don't get it. It just,
Sorry.
I'm not going to think, makes my brain hurt, the AJ effect. But
cool.
those types of things that are coming in that give even more avenues for people to enjoy it. It's in a different way. Just think it's incredible, all the innovative ideas that you guys are coming up with, and the ladies.
AJ, can you just quickly tell about the AJ effect for people who haven't heard it yet? But like, what are we talking about? Like, how it's the next iteration?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I won't get into the boring technical stuff about it, but it effectively gives producers of audio stuff like this the opportunity to have certain elements of the audio be optional for the listener. So, you could switch off certain things if they were set up in a certain way. Sound effects is a really good example because, there's a lot of conversation in this community of audio erotica as to whether or not people really love sound effects or they sort of find them a bit, icky and gross. Just by having that one element being optional, you can kind of cater for both audiences in one
So
audio, which is
cool.
quite cool. But I think, like being that this is such an emerging space means that there's such room for innovation. I've always sort of lamented being born when we've been born because it's like all the inventions are sort of already taken. Like I sort of always feel like I'm walking through the door just like a little bit too late, or like I just missed the opportunity. Whereas somehow, we're all here at sort of the birth of this thing a little bit, which is kind of crazy. And one other thought on that as well is that, like us all here in this space where we're all talking about this and we're involved in it. This is sort of our day to day. We participate in this community all the time. We're at the very, very thin end of this massive wedge here. Like there'll be people out here who consume this content passively, who like the scale of it. Like
Yeah.
we have no idea. We only interact with a very, very, very tiny, very thin sliver of the people who are actually consuming all this stuff, and that's what's really exciting, because there will be a tipping point at some point in the near future where people go from listening passively and sort of maybe being ashamed in some way to listen to this stuff and participate in it, not tell their friends, not tell their family, whatever, that they do this, to then all go in, yeah, I do this. Like when was it? It was uncool a few years ago to say that you play video
Yes.
games.
Yeah.
It's not uncool anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Kind
like
of is,
there will come a
but no,
time
I'm
when
just kidding.
everybody's like,
It's not-
It's cool.
there will come a time when people just go,
Yeah.
this is normal, and like everybody does this. And I think at that point our eyes will be like, oh my, they'll just be huge, but oh my God, all these people were here the whole time, we just didn't know about it, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, I mean, look, 6 months ago, we didn't even have a contemplation of starting a podcast. Had no interest really. We hadn't even thought about it. And then one
know each other.
conversation, AJ, you had your What is Book Talk. We had somebody in a live just say, "Oh, I think you might be good doing a podcast." And
It was
then
in a John live.
John live.
Yep. So John, yeah, here's the story,
I'm
John.
honored.
So John, you were talking about your podcast, and we all know how famous Smudge is for her comments. And so she was doing comments, and so several people during your live, John, in the comments said, "John, when are you going to have Smudge on the podcast?" And I'm like, they don't get what your topic is, but when are you going to have Smudge on? Like, it would be so funny. And Smudge said in the live, "I used to read news for the radio back in the day." And so when I didn't really know Smudge at this point, she was like this intimidating mod in AJ's community to me. Like,
Can we rephrase that?
Own it,
Intimidating,
Smudge.
like
she was
really kind, supportive, and lovely, and quite pretty.
you were. You were an elevated angel in AJ's community.
Thank
So I was intimidated by you. You were not intimidating. So anyway, so she says that, and I thought, oh, isn't that funny? So then I said, oh, Smudge, that's funny. I hosted an online radio show, a call-in radio show for many years. And then someone said, the two of you should do a podcast. And after that live, John, I thought, am I going to have the courage to message smudge, the smudge, right? With shaky fingers, I did. And she responded right away, went, let's do it. And I think a couple days later, 2 hours on a video call, we had 100 different segments planned. And I was like, what is happening? What is happening?
Amazing.
And then 5 months later, here we are.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Then we dragged Jules in. We're like, Jules, come on in.
Picked me up on the side of the road and said, get in, we're going shopping.
But I think what I was leading into on that is it's the doors, it's open for you, AJ, the doors, it's open for you, John. I mean, pretty life-changing, would you say?
Yeah.
Hugely.
100%.
Yeah. It's sort of, yeah, I mean, it's I had no sort of idea really where, like, I had goals and aspirations and stuff, but I've always been pretty self-motivated, but I didn't know what I was kind of going to do long term. And then finding this has been like, okay, well, I still don't know, but it's going to be something.
What, baseball career, professional, semi-pro?
Back up.
I don't. Do you know what? Do you know if I could swap jobs with anybody? So there's one job in existence that I'm jealous of. I generally think I have the best job in the world, apart from one, and is a bloke who has a newsletter. And he goes around all of the minor league stadiums in America every year. It's like a road trip every single year, and he reviews the food. Right, so he doesn't even talk about baseball. He just goes to the stadiums and then like just has a meal and then he just chats to the people who are there, and he finds someone who goes to like every game and they've been to 1,000 games and all the rest of it. But then he reviews like the burger, or he like says like what the waffles are like.
Don't say waffles.
Don't say waffles.
Waffles.
Oh no.
Waffles.
But yeah, that's the only job I'd ever switch.
What a life.
Well, you never know. Somebody out there in baseball land, I'm going to call it because I don't know what else it's called. Baseball land might hear this, John, and you might have a new career as of tomorrow.
Do not come steal him from Quinn.
I would happy to do both. I think I could do both.
Doesn't sound like a very demanding job. No shade to that guy doing that job, but if I felt like you could probably take that on as a side gig, and you'd be all right.
One of those jobs where he's got to die to leave it because he's not going to give it up, is he?
Do you know there's if you look on the website, on the MLB website where you sign up for all the newsletters, there's pictures of all the people who write them, and he's the only one who's smiling.
Of course.
Do you guys have thoughts on your boundaries around being a VA? And just kind of keeping this job going, this passion that you love so much, and keeping it in a way that is healthy and safe.
It's really hard, isn't it, to know how to navigate those things. There is no rule book. This is all just so new to all of us, and I think maybe where John and I have a lot in common is that our approach obviously has been to be public creators and to spend regular time with our audience. And I feel like it's something I feel quite passionate about, and I'm sure John feels the same way. But it allows us to navigate the boundaries of our audience, I think, in a way that works really, really well for us. I think it's probably more difficult for anonymous creators. I think there's that allure, there's that draw, which is intoxicating. I totally understand that for listeners' perspective, to be like, who is this person? Like, I understand that pull, and I think maybe like the approach that John and I have, fortunately, because of just, I don't think either of us set out with this being the goal. It just sort of happened naturally. It mitigates some of those feelings in some ways, because it's like we're reachable to in some degree. Like you get enough of us that you sort of know what you need to know, and like anything else, well, it's fine. You don't need to know that. I understand why other creators who need to be anonymous struggle with these things, and I wish there was a way that we could help pave the way and create more sort of safe boundaries for people in that situation. But I think ultimately, like a lot of them lately have come to the conclusion, social media isn't a particularly great place for anonymous creators to be. And like, I wish that wasn't the case, but it feels that way right now. And like, maybe creators are feeling a bit more emboldened and a bit more comfortable sharing what their boundaries are. It's good that the conversation's out there. It's nice that we're talking about it. Because there'll be people who've been doing this for a long time, 5 years plus, who like have just never had that conversation and just have been kind of suffering in silence. So I don't know what the answer is. I feel very lucky to be in the situation I'm in, but I'm painfully aware of the fact that that's not going to work for everyone.
Yeah, I think it's what makes it so difficult to talk about is because, or I find this anyway, is that if you sort of say, if I say today, I don't mind this element of it. It's totally undermining, or it can seem like you're undermining a creator who actually takes, like, doesn't like that particular thing at all.
Yeah.
So it's very sort of, because it's sort of like and it's really, it's sort of a difficult thing to balance, because you never want to sort of say that something's okay where it's not for
Yeah.
somebody else. So I'd rather sort of stay on the stay on the sort of cautious side of it. I think it's like a basic sort of thing to remember is that, like, if you like somebody's work, or if you like, so for me, if you like being a part of my Patreon, or if you like following me on social media and stuff, but then, like, I can only do that for as long as I'm safe and the people that I love the most are safe. And the moment that's compromised, it's gone.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's like no sort of, especially like, there's one thing for me, but it's like, especially the people closest around me, is like there's no sort of second chances with that. It's like one thing and it's like, gone. Now there is some responsibility on my side, hugely, to protect that person and to protect, like my family and things like that, which I'm doing everything that's possible to do that. But then, there's also some responsibility from like the listener thing. So that's the only thing. I mean, people can say what they want, like, about me, because I know that they probably don't know me that well.
Yeah.
Like, so, like, in terms of, like, people can call me a name or a nickname, or say nasty things and stuff. Like, I'm totally fine with it. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. But it's more like if you take like actionable steps, that's that's just a big cut off. And it's just like anything that you wouldn't want someone to do to you.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
So knowing what you two know now and how you are very much, in the public eye doing your Quinn narration work, would it be something you change if you were given the option now to go back in time and be an incognito Quinn VA or in the public eye? What would you choose?
I would I don't have any regrets. Being like totally honest, like, this is a place for honesty, right? I really enjoy making stuff and people like reacting to it.
Yeah.
Like, I love that side of it. Like, I've spent my entire life making stuff and nobody caring and nobody talking about it. And I've done everything in my power to put things into the ether. If you go back to my TikTok, I was, from the moment that I got it, I was plugging stuff and I was making stuff, and I was, I've had a YouTube channel for God knows how many years. It's essentially like since I knew how to turn on a camera, I was making like short films and like all through college and just trying desperately to make stuff. And then like now, just like the end of, or towards like mid last year, for the first time ever, that someone's had an opinion on something that I've made. And it's like, I would not trade that for the world. It's incredible.
Yeah.
And it's, it's, and I don't feel like protective over it either. Like, if people stopped caring tomorrow, I feel like I've got my fix. I'm feeling like, so I feel quite good about that, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love being able I love making something, thinking something out, writing it down, doing it. And then someone saying like, oh, I heard it. Even if it's like, I'm not asking for people to say they loved it. If people could say it was trash, but the fact is like, oh, you took time out of your day to like listen to it and stuff. That's amazing, because I put the effort in to make it. And, you know what I mean? So that's I wouldn't change it in the slightest.
AJ?
No, I wouldn't change it either. No, I mean, it was part of the conversation when I first started on Quinn was, do I want to be an anonymous or a public creator? And, I'm painfully aware of the fact that what I'm about to say comes with an enormous amount of privilege, in that I can make these decisions without any fear of reproach or repercussions in any way, shape or form. Like, I know not everybody has that. And I would say it's probably easier for me as a straight white dude to be able to just be privileged enough to make this choice. But I didn't have any worries about being judged or having any like career options taken away from me because I was choosing to do this particular thing. And I think because I sort of knew that I would never do something on Quinn, for example, that I would be ashamed of if somebody knew it was me. If somebody, like, I don't know, came to find me in like an office I was working on in 10 years time, being like, hey, that's you, right? That's you. Like moaning into a microphone. If I was in that situation going to turn bright pink and just be horrified that anyone knew that was me, I'm probably not doing the right job. I don't think, personally. Or I'm not being true to myself. Like, what I had done in that that audio is in some way an overstep of my own boundaries, but I was sort of not cognizant of that in that moment. So like I know full well if anyone ever did that to me, I'd be like, yeah, it's me. Do you like it?
Shall we listen to it together?
Like I wouldn't
Want to be a subscriber?
I would not be mortified at all. So like I know I'm very lucky to be safe
Yeah.
to make those choices. Not everybody is safe to make those choices. But you know, I knew that, and if I was doing things privately, I would still make those same choices. I wouldn't want somebody to out me as doing something that I was ashamed or embarrassed of at any point. So I'm just so proud to be here.
And you have your own boundaries on Quinn, don't you? You don't have to do, you know, a BDSM audio. You don't have to do a boyfriend audio. You don't have to, you know, you've got your own boundaries where you get to produce the content that you feel comfortable doing. It's consent for you as well as us, you know?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And I think like, you know, like maybe other creators feel this as well, but I definitely do feel like there is a sense of, like for example, like I use my own audios as an example, but like you know, I pushed some boundaries with the stuff running up to Christmas, like with the exchange series, where it sort of felt like things were getting a little bit hotter than other audios, and like that's okay.
I didn't complain.
But
No complaint.
I think there's a temptation maybe to slip into the thought process of, well, I've done that on those. How am I going to keep people guessing? How am I going to keep people interested? How am I going to one up myself on the next one? And what's been interesting for me, and I don't know if John, you feel the same way about this because you've been doing this longer than I have, but I sort of had to create like a little fire break almost in my in the audios I was putting out, and almost reset and kind of go, okay, like I'm gonna do things that are a little bit more chilled out now, maybe something's a bit more boyfriendy, do a sleep aid and kind of just sort of like start the clock again, so that, you know, when we can sort of start ramping things up again, I'm not measuring myself against the really raunchy stuff that happened in December. Do you know what I mean? Like, so there's not a temptation to go beyond what you're comfortable doing, I suppose, just to sort of keep people excited.
John, how do you feel? Because I think you came in as very, you know, I mean, your nickname is the Golden Retriever. I mean, you did nickname, I think, yourself Neighborhood Spicy Man, but you know, I think your fans started off, it was a Golden Retriever. So, you know, how you came in with some quite boyfriendy stuff, and then it turned. And do you feel the same way?
Yeah, and it was just like that was all like a confidence thing, really, and it's like how like naturally in terms of like how I saw myself fit. So again, just like being honest, it was all like self-conscious. So it's like if you listen to someone like Mersey or Cavern, or they have these voices that are so, you know, just amazing and like so deep and masculine and all this sort of stuff, and they can get away with saying stuff that like I would feel really strange saying. Well, I feel like I'd be a little bit of a, you know, oh, that's not getting anybody going. So like a lot of it comes from like, it started out going like, okay, well, this is like my version. So it's like I was talking to a lot of the creators that we went to LA, and we were talking, we were doing a lot of these like we're doing the pieces to camera and being all, you know, suave and all this sort of stuff. And it's like I felt like a little bit like I had an amazing time and it was amazing experience and stuff, but I felt a little bit kind of out of sorts on those parts because I see my own, I don't see my audios like that. I see my audios as like me and the listener, we together as a team go through stories and we explore things together. And we're sort of in the dark fumbling around together, like, you know, I like, so that's how I sort of look at it anyway, because that's how I feel, is that me and the listener are really going through this journey together, and sometimes we might feel like we're going to go down a certain route, and then that's just like confidence. And I feel like, as you mentioned, like Stripped Back was like a huge breakthrough for me, and it was like, I mean, that just came from like I was like really tired, like generally just like I had like something to make, and I was like exhausted, and I was like, well, if I never thought that I was good enough to do like a ramble. I thought that I was like in my books, and then one day I was just almost like not angry, but just kind of, well, sod it. If I'm gonna do, I want to do this. I want to do this creatively. I want to do, and then I ended up having like, you know, it was so like I'm so proud of that. And then and it's allowed me to sort of really open the doors and go, okay, well, let's see what else we can explore then in my sort of way. So I think that's kind of the journey. So it's all been like a confidence thing for me in all of it, and it's been really nice. And yeah, it's but I do like the boyfriend stuff as well. Like, I'm not saying like the earlier like themes and that. I always love them. It's like friends to lovers is always my favorite. But I do like to now. I feel like I'm a little bit more equipped psychologically to be able to go, okay, let's go have some fun. And then sometimes you're in a mood to just sort of go, okay, let's really pull the boat out today. And let's really make something that's
And those are the ones you tend to put in your Patreon, let me just say.
yeah, genuinely, yeah.
Join John's Patreon.
Yeah.
Yes.
For my Patreon stuff is way risque. I think it's I don't know why. I don't know,
but I mean, we hear chatter like in AJ's Discord, right? Because some listeners like things ramped up a little bit, and so when we would say to them, go check out John's Patreon, and they're like, oh, you might be too boyfriend for me. I said, please just go. And then they're like, how have I not been in this community? I'm like, yeah, he's very generous in his what he offers.
Yeah, John, I arrived at your Patreon. I stayed. Let's put it that way. So, yeah.
Well, that's very kind of you.
You're very welcome.
I have a question for you guys. It made me think of it because John, you was talking about like confidence now, like, hey, when we're a team, let's do this. Do either of you have any like pre-game rituals that you have to do before you record an audio?
No, I don't think so.
Same pair of pants, same pair of socks, that you've worn the whole series.
I think you have to I think mindset's a big one. That's how it's like how it kind of differs from like audiobook narration. It's like you can narrate in any mood because you have to. You're narrating all day every day, so you have to narrate in any mood, But it's like you're following the script, and if it's the character thing, you can get into it pretty quickly. Like especially if it's you know what you're doing. Whereas with Quinn, you can't, because you can tell when someone's not into it, and and sometimes that's really bad for your schedule. Because you've got one day to get something done. You got the Google Calendar, and it's all perfectly mapped out. And then if you get in that booth and you start recording something, or you start recording the audio for whatever, and you're not feeling it, for me, it's like, well, as difficult as it is, I'm gonna have to stop and come back to it later, because it's you have to be in the right sort of mood for it. Maybe you can like get yourself into it and stuff, but for me, I'm quite bad at regulating my own mood. So it's like, I've got to do it at a different time.
AJ, what about you? Do you have like a ritual or?
If I do, I haven't figured out what it is yet. It's possible there is a routine that I'm just not aware of yet. I know that there are some things I can't do. I have to be a little bit careful about when I eat, because I do have a bit of a rumbly stomach, which like particularly like mornings are tricky. Like if I've just had breakfast, my edit is more difficult than it would otherwise be.
Just a genuine question about the food, or more like liquid. Have you worked out the different liquids that you can have before you record, in terms of like what your mouth clicks are? I know you do like the RXIs and stuff, but you feel of your mouth before recording.
Yeah, I would say protein shake's probably not a great idea.
Yeah, I would think not.
Yeah, no, I just aggressively de-click in post, basically.
Yeah.
Do you sometimes start and then think, oh, I don't think I'm in the mood, and then all of a sudden, the script kicks in or something like that, and then you go, actually, I'm now in the mood. Does it work like that?
There have been moments when like I've done a recording and I'm like, nah, that was shit, and then like I'll get into the edit and be like, oh no, this is really good. Like I definitely have found that sometimes the edit, hearing it all sort of happening with the sound design and like all the sort of various bits and bobs, really does make a big difference in my impression of things. And like I have this all the time where like I'll second guess certain bits of my performance, and I'll be like, and that was shit. I'll go back and do another take, and like it'll all be one continuous audio file that I go back and cut. always prefer the first one that
Yeah.
I thought was shit. Always.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
what was I worried about? It was so much better than I thought it was. The second one feels really forced and like performative. Whereas the first one is like where the real emotion is taking place. And like that happens all the time. So like um learning the strength.
Do you ever get anybody to listen to it? Or
No,
No.
no, but having the strength and the courage and the wherewithal to not hit the space bar and stop the recording because you think it's shit is the biggest lesson I've learned over the last 6 months or so. It's just like, no, see it through. It's going to be better than you think it is, and it always is. Always is.
Yeah.
It's my experience.
I think we've even found that with the podcast, right, guys? Like when we finish recording, like an hour later, we forget everything that we've said and immediately think everything we did was shit and we have to do it again. And then we go into editing. I'm like, this is fucking amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yes,
so difficult to not get in your own head with this stuff. And like,
Yeah.
I'm like, no, I'm speaking too much. You could have cut half of that out and it still would have been too much. And my voice, I sound like I've just smoked 40 Marlboro and I don't smoke.
I'm always like, how many
Yeah.
times have I said, I said, 10 times.
How many times did I say cunt? Yes, it was like,
Always
you know,
more, Smudge, always more.
always more.
Yeah, I think we've kept you way longer than we anticipated, so we apologize for that. Oh yeah, gosh, a couple
Yes.
hours.
Sorry.
it's
So
okay.
the last couple of questions, just
yeah,
so
more.
you know, where can just literally just where can people find you online?
Yeah, of
Where
course.
can people find you online?
Well, assuming it's not going to get taken off the face of the planet, I'm on TikTok. That's where I spend most of my time, and Instagram. Well, I'm not really cool enough to be on Instagram, am I? I haven't really figured it out yet. But
That's where you put the most of your workout and thirst trap pictures, I believe.
Yeah.
True.
AJ this way is my social handle. You'll find me in most places, causing chaos and being mischievous.
Yes.
Accurate.
Very true. John?
So where can we find you?
Yeah, so I'm on TikTok and Instagram, and Patreon as well. It's the main place. I'm trying to get better at posting things.
Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just put your @s and what your handles are of all of your socials in the show notes. You're fine. We've
Thank
got you.
you.
And we
Yeah.
can find you both
It's,
on Quinn, surprisingly
Find
enough.
them on Quinn,
Yeah.
And then
Quinn.
Quinn. Yeah.
Cameo, Patreon, Discord. Yeah, lots of places. We'll put it all in the show notes, but we highly recommend checking out their communities because they're just
Absolutely.
lovely communities, very welcoming, very
Safest spaces.
safest spaces. I mean, people go through really tough stuff in their life and everyone rallies. So lovely, like very unique places on the internet. I highly recommend everyone go join there. Yeah, so thanks guys for taking this time out.
Yeah, thanks for our Valentine's Day.
Thank you very
for our
much.
first Hit the Spotlight Valentine's Day special. It's been an absolute pleasure.
The husbands.
Thank you for having us. It's been great.
Thank you.
What joy it's been.
Thanks guys.
Bye, AJ.
See you later, John.
See ya. Bye.
Enjoy the rest of Valentine's Day.
You make the cutest couple. Well,
Wow. That was a Valentine's Day and a half, wasn't it?
That
right?
was the best presents I've ever received on Valentine's Day.
Smudge, you can't say you spent it alone anymore because you had.
No, I didn't.
If you just
You're
if you
right.
just include them, you just had a threesome on Valentine's Day.
I did.
But
I
we were
had a
here, so we
feast.
really all had an orgy.
We did.
We
Oh,
did. Quincast
Valentine's-
orgy. Can we make this a yearly event?
Yes, please.
Quinn
Yes,
Cast
please.
orgy.
Aren't they just the cutest though?
Oh my god,
They're adorable. They are absolutely adorable together.
so
And
cute.
we covered some pretty great topics, I think.
Yeah, it was fun to like be playful with them and do the kind of newlywed game stuff, but then also just I love the deeper conversations too of just the impact of their work and I do think it was a unique opportunity for them to be in conversation with people on the other side, and to
Oh,
just,
God,
like
yeah.
hear from us, kind of like I think it's a good conversation. So it was wow, it was
Oh,
Yeah, it was brilliant.
so
And to
fun.
give them a take on like you said, that from a listener's perspective, it's a unique opportunity. I don't think you interact with VAs online in their lives or in their Discords or Patreon, but to have that type of one-on-one conversation with them where you
Yeah.
can have that backwards and forwards and it's not just a one-liner of a sentence or a quick question, and I
Yeah.
think that's really, really important for them to see it from our side and for us to see it from their side.
Yeah, I think that's why it's so important. Like I know we talked about when we introduced this new series that, we're calling it like an interview series, but really it's conversations that we're having. And that's how we presented it to them was like, this is not an interview. We want to we want to bring
Yes.
you on and have a conversation about a bunch of stuff. And because you don't, I mean, you can hear them on podcasts and you can hear them be interviewed, but to have a conversation like this, I think is pretty unique.
Great. And I liked the candid nature of it with them, and just watching them kind of watch each other's answers to things. And I know you can't see it, listeners, but you could just see like the realization in one of their faces when the other one was talking about something, and you're just like, wow, they're thinking so similar. And then just kind of having that openness in this space was great. And how fun, guys, was it to actually put them on the spot?
I know.
Fun.
I know.
Oh, their face. That's really what got me, guys. I absolutely loved that.
How can we not put them on the spot? It's called Hit the Spotlight.
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
I feel like at the beginning, when we said we have some rapid fire questions, like we're on like hit the spotlight, I felt like they kind of knew, but their faces still were just like, oh God, I hope I know. Oh, this question.
Or when we were like, well, you didn't send an introduction, so, and you see them like, oh my God.
They were like, oh no, we did
have to
something
introduce
wrong.
each other, which was such a great idea, Smudge.
Awesome.
And I'm already looking forward to the next one.
I know. Oh, I bet.
Oh.
Who's next, Smudge? Who's next up on?
I don't know.
In the
I think his
spotlight?
name begins with O and it ends with S.
In between it's
Oh my God.
Yes, much fun. Really excited. Oh, we've got a lot of guests coming up. We've got a lot of guests. And how are we going to fit them all in? Careful.
We all have to quit our jobs and
do.
Yes,
And
please. I would
yes.
please.
Let's do
Do this
Yeah.
full time, please.
yeah.
But yeah, good job, ladies. And
done.
onwards and upwards to the next one.
The premiere episode of Hit the Spotlight in the Bag. This has been
Yes.
Kaza. Your voice matters.
This is Jules. Go put those lips to good use.
And this has been Smudge. Keep wanking.